Here we go. It is a Thursday. We are live in Los Angeles. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, we're on Fox Sports Radio and right here on FS1. 1 hour from now, NFL Meat Sandwich. If you bet football, if you play fantasy football, or you just love football, Greg Cosell in 1 hour. I think the smartest 10 minutes of football conversation we have all week. Frank Vogel, coach of the Lakers, in 30 minutes stops by. I told you I saw him at Walgreens earlier this year in L.A. How bizarre is that? The coach of the Lakers pulled his mask down. He's like, "Coward." I'm like, "Frank Vogel? You go to Walgreens too?" Joy Taylor's joining me.
Frank Vogel gets special Lakers toothpaste.
I thought it was so random. I'm like, in the whole city of Los Angeles, I'm in a Walgreens right next to the cave. We're the only two people in the store.
Well, I'm sure he's happy to be back in Walgreens buying toothpaste right now.
Overjoyed. So it's great to have you in. So it's very interesting. This is a weekend of clarity in the NFL. There's a lot of big games. The pretenders. We saw Buffalo, Tennessee play the other night, and it's like, maybe Buffalo's a little bit of a pretender. Tennessee is absolutely legitimate. And we're going to see Green Bay and Tampa Bay and all these games this weekend, and Cleveland and Baltimore. You know, it's very funny. The Dallas Cowboys play Arizona. The schedule gets pretty weak for them right now. Very winnable games. And the feeling is Dak is gone and Andy Dalton's in. I want to remind you that what your replacements do will often define you when you don't go to work. So when Drew Brees got hurt last year, Teddy Bridgewater came in, went 5-0. What did it do? It got Teddy Bridgewater a franchise quarterback contract. And it also affirmed that Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater, it's not much of a gap. And it turned out that Teddy's now winning and Drew's not winning anymore in New Orleans with a better roster. When Cam Newton missed the Kansas City game this year, didn't play. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. That's a bad football team without Cam Newton. So Brees not playing probably hurt his status. Cam not playing totally elevated his status. So what will it do for Dak Prescott? The feeling is Andy Dalton. You know, we've seen this act before. It's not very good. Put this old dude to rest. This is, he'll play a couple games. And in fact, Patrick Peterson, Arizona, great player, saying, "Hey, man, we just want to force this cat to throw the ball this weekend."
Stop the run. We definitely got to stop the run and force, not saying that he can't do it, but, we have to force Andy Dalton to beat us. We feel if you take the ball out of Elliott's hands, there's more opportunities for bad things that happen when the ball is in the air.
That's interesting. If I asked you, I'm going to throw this out there. Dak and Dalton, which one has had the season with the most touchdown passes? Well, that would be obvious. That would be Andy Dalton, 33, in dysfunctional Cincinnati with a defensive coach. All right, which guy has had the most back-to-back double-digit win seasons? Well, Dak's never had that. That would be Andy Dalton, 4 seasons in a row. And by the way, he was in a division with Pittsburgh, always competent, and Baltimore, usually competent. Everybody know that Andy Dalton's 32. No major history of injuries. He chose Texas because he's from there. He's from Katy, Texas. Andy Dalton's not a stiff. You watched last week, right? You watched that last drive, and you're like, your expectations of Andy Dalton are so low. And all of a sudden, you watch that drive, and it's like, I'm not saying he's as mobile as Dak, but you watch the tape, look at the film, look at these throws. That's a big boy NFL throw. Watch this throw. Seems to me that's a big boy NFL throw. He's 32. The Cowboys' schedule now is the weakest in the league for the next few weeks. Arizona, then it's Washington, beat up Philadelphia, face Pittsburgh, then they get a bye. But then it's a lot of Washington and Cincinnati, and 49ers can't get their act together, and home against Philadelphia and close the season out. Andy Dalton, when he was in Cincinnati, equally dysfunctional to Dallas, with a defensive coach, a conservative coach. We call Mike McCarthy a conservative coach. But when Andy was in that division 6-7 years ago and they had a bunch of weapons, he wasn't asked to carry the franchise. He was asked to be a distributor. He kept winning the division. So Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees not playing didn't do him any favors. Helped Teddy Bridgewater. Cam not playing did him huge favors. I just want to remind you, the first 4 years in the NFL, Dak and Andy Dalton, we threw the numbers out. It's the same dude. Now, I think I'd take Dak over Dalton, and I've, over the years, been much tougher on Dalton than Dak because they called him the Red Rifle, and I'm like, he doesn't deserve a nickname. Let's get off the Red Rifle nonsense. But the idea there's this massive gap, there really isn't. Dalton was drafted higher. Dalton had a very productive college career. Dalton has had more double-digit win seasons. Dalton's had the more touchdown passes in one season. And he is a distributor. He's a distributor, and this team is built, frankly, for somebody who's a distributor. So it's interesting. Arizona's takeaway this weekend is just force Andy Dalton to throw. That's actually, when he had good weapons, the best thing he did and the hardest way to beat him. All right, so Alabama coach Nick Saban is going to miss the game this weekend against Georgia. It's by far and away the best game of the weekend. It's probably going to be the best college football game this season. It's really, really good, right? It's going to be on a short list of great games. So Nick Saban's got COVID. He came out and he said, listen, protect. We don't know how we got it. We wear masks. We socially distance. He was very responsible, but they got it. Here's what's remarkable. The average NFL star player is not worth a point. The average college football player is not worth half a point. Nick Saban, by just not being in the stadium Saturday, it changed the line 2.5 points. Now, I want you to think about this. The assistant that will take it over is Steve Sarkisian. He has coached 2 major programs, has a winning record, has won bowl games. Alabama's also had the same system in for 10, 12 years. This is not a new system. And because he can't be there just for the game, it almost changes it by a field goal. The gap between Nick Saban now and the second best college coach, and I'll get to that in a second, I mean, he's literally, would this happen with any other coach? He had Zoom meetings this week. He was coaching them this week on Zoom. The system's installed. Sark's been there for years. This is unbelievable, that it's almost a field goal difference. And it's funny, one of the things I always liked about Saban, there's a sense that he's rigid. But the truth is, he's really not. He's evolved his offense every year. Every year. He's made the life for his student athletes really amazing. They really support their kids academically. They support them emotionally. I was talking to a therapist yesterday about this in football. Saban offers layers and layers and layers of therapists, life coach, life strategists. Alabama football players go on to very productive lives. He's never had an NCAA violation of note. Very few of his kids get into trouble. He's lost 12 coordinators. That's what I counted this morning. Now, think about that. When Pete Carroll and Mac Brown at USC and Texas, legendary programs, when they started losing coordinators, the programs were never the same. Urban Meyer's an amazing coach. When he lost Charlie Strong, and I think like a Dan Mullen, Florida never felt the same. Nick Saban's lost 12 coordinators. Hasn't missed a beat. No NCAA stuff. Mostly good kids go on to productive lives. He keeps evolving offensively. He's just missing the game this week. Just the game. He's there on Zoom meetings. The offense is installed. And the Fox bet, those guys are like, oh, it's like 3 points. That's 2.5 points. The only coach in my lifetime that really is close to him, and this is somebody I have a lot of respect for because I know Nick and I like Nick a lot, is Tom Osborne. His last 5 years at Nebraska, he went 60-3. And his last year, 13-0, walk-off, one of the great teams of all time. He's, to me, the second best coach in the history of college football. And one of the reasons is, like Nick Saban, he really evolved. Woody Hayes became kind of a relic. Joe Paul was kind of a relic. Some of these guys, like, and people I like Bobby Bowden, they're not really running the program. They show up and sign 5 or 6 kids. They show up to the house. Mom and dad like them. But the coordinators are running the offense. The coordinators are running recruiting. The coordinators are running the program. Nick Saban is like 66 years old because he's just not going to be at the game. Changes the spread significantly. It's like this guy is just separated. I mean, to me, it's Saban, it's Osborne, probably Bear Bryant, and then you can argue over the last one. But I was shocked. But he has a head coach as an assistant who has won bowl games and won at 2 programs. He's got a defensive system that's been in forever. He's also not only lost coordinators, they often go get jobs in his conference, take all his secrets, and coach against him. And they're still, I mean, can you imagine? You work at a company, it could be Coke. You lose many executives. They go over to the other place. They go up against you. They know all your trade secrets at Pepsi. You'd be a struggle, right? Like, oh, my gosh. Nick's coaching against his former assistants every other weekend. No dip in the quality of the program. It really is remarkable. I've watched these great programs. Florida, Texas, USC, Nebraska. They lose a top coordinator or 2, and the program just goes down. He's lost 11 or 12. I lost count this morning. I think he's had 7 offensive coordinators. And he's coaching against Lane, and he's coaching against Kirby Smart, and he's coaching against the kid at Tennessee. Every weekend he faces somebody that has all his trade secrets. It's remarkable. Wish Coach well. All right. My first, Joy, I do this. I have what I call the Super Bowl bubble.
Oh, it's the first Super Bowl bubble?
We're going to introduce, it's only 8 teams. I always believe there's 8 teams every year that can win the Super Bowl out of 32. And I have my first Super Bowl bubble. I feel really good about it. This weekend, a chance to knock 2 or 3 out and put 2 or 3 in. But I feel really secure about 7 of the 8, 6 of the 8 I feel very strongly about. And I do feel there's a team in the bubble that is easily the most complete team, and it's not the Kansas City Chiefs.
Have we ever said bubble so much in 1 year?
No kidding. No kidding. Our first bubble. When you want a 12-ounce ribeye, don't buy the entire cow. When you need a seat in an airplane, you don't buy the entire plane or the row, right? Why are you paying for unlimited data for your cell phone? You're only using 2 gigs a month. That's how big carriers hook you. AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile charge you obscene monthly fees for data you never need and perks you never use. Switch to Pure Talk USA. Only charges you for the data you need. They're on the exact same towers. You get the same coverage at half the cost. Don't have to change your phone. Don't have to change your number. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, 2 gigs of data. $20 a month, that's it. Average person saves over $400 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 2 gigs of data. $20 a month. Even more. Even more. If you grab your cell phone right now and you dial pound 250, say Colin Cowherd. Dial pound 250 and say my name, Colin Cowherd. They'll give you another 50% off your first month. Pure Talk USA. Dial pound 250 and say my name, Colin Cowherd.